We are the Catalan independentist resistance, and you are listening to a new update from Radio Hadrian in Free Catalonia.
I am a Catalan, but what has been Catalonia? Catalonia has been the greatest nation in the world, with the first parliament much before England. Already in the 11th century, in a president of the United Nations, the Catalan authorities gathered in the south of France, then Catalonia, to talk about peace and no more war. Pau Casals in the United Nations, 24th of October of 1971. This is David Rabantos. This is chapter 49, week 49, here Radio Hadrian. As always, thanks to KA Radio for offering the possibility to making this program that slowly is changing history, is making history in Catalonia, and will collaborate to make history in Scotland. As we speak, we have opened the website to have access to us, www.directa.cat. It's the website of Directa 68, the party that will bring about independence in Catalonia. In the last 10 days, more than 10,000 people have seen the bootleg video in Facebook about the conference, talking about the 2 years of the hunger strike and the repression handled by government shield pretending to be Catalan. And we are editing and we're making an edited version that has to reach everywhere in Catalonia, and that we're gonna tour Catalonia in the next months, explaining what the hunger strike was and how from the hunger strike resistance was born, and from that came Radio Hadrian and came Directa 68. This program is specially dedicated to Dèlia Forrest, an incredible person and woman who has led or is leading the fight for independence in Catalonia, the fight for independence in Scotland, and she has such a big heart and brain that she dedicates a lot of effort to make the cause or to make the genocide of Aborigine Australians known. She worked outside the house. She fought some fake friends that were hurting her. She helped me to stay sane inside the madness of the psychiatric ward. And she went through very hard times with hardship, with cuts in water and light. And for sure, without Dèlia, there wouldn't be resistance, there would be a party, there wouldn't be this radio program. So now and forever, thanks so much, Dèlia. In this program, we, first, I'm gonna give my humble opinion on Scottish things. Then we'll talk about Puerto Rico and the betrayal of the former president Artur Mas with Puerto Rico in mind. Later we'll talk about how they lied to us in using Puerto Rico, Scotland, and Slovenia. Then we'll debunk this person. As we speak, it's Saturday night, and we don't know if by Monday Quim Torra will be the new president Spain has chosen to keep deceiving Catalans. But I'll talk about my own vision of this Quim Torra that ran away from me 4 years ago when I met him on the street. Then finally we'll talk about the cult or the group or this group of people working against independence that go under the code sentence Donec Perficiam. And we'll also talk about how they manipulate us with stupid videos that keeps us from seeing what we need to see. So we start, but letting you know that we grow in support in Catalonia, and I'm totally certain that before the end of 2019, Directa 68 and the people I have the privilege to work with will declare the independence of Catalonia. And it's with that in mind that we started chapter 49. First of all, I want to comment very positively how great it was to see more than 90,000 people in the All Under One banner march in Glasgow Saturday last week. And we need to rejoice on that, but we need to be critical on that as well, and I'll explain myself. We need to rejoice because it shows that there's still a great number of people motivated to go for independence. But I'm worried because I've seen some comments on Facebook saying that all of you are behind Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP. Until you realize that Nicola Sturgeon is an English mole and so is the SNP, which is working for London, nothing can be done. You just mice in a wheel, and no matter how hard you walk, you'll only make the wheel go faster, but you'll get no closer to independence. Independence is not for free, it's not easy, it's not cheap, it's not as cool as go marching and playing music as you march. Us Catalans have been marching for 8 years, even in 2 million strong, and it hasn't got us 1 inch closer to independence. Marches don't make independence. Referendums don't make independence. We're going to learn today about Puerto Rico, where they've had 5 referendums and they're no closer to independence than they ever was. We've done referendums in Catalonia. You were still the referendum. We've already mentioned how referendums are just to brainwash people into thinking that we have a choice. The only choice for independence is unveiling the traitors running our processes, and the same goes for Gerry Adams and the Sinn Féin. The Sinn Féin's working for London. Euskal Herria leaders like Arnaldo Otegi, they work for Madrid. All the leaders running the Scottish process are working for London, and all the Catalan leaders are working for Madrid. That's the way it goes. That's the way New World Order makes it impossible that nations break away from their imperial masters. They infiltrate our movements to the top. So no matter if you side with the Unionists or with the so-called independentists, you're working with London once. So it's hard to wake up. It's hard to leave the Truman Show. It's hard to get out of Plato's cave. But that's the only way, not only for independence, but for a better world that will work together to make true. From Scotland, from Ireland, from Veneto, from Tibet, from Sahara, from Catalonia, from Wales, from Flanders. Every nation that is subjugated by an empire, we're going to start afresh, and we're going to make it in cleaner, more environmentally friendly societies in countries worth living in. So if everything that the march all under one banner is to support SNP and Nicola Sturgeon and to push for a second referendum in which you're gonna be slaughtered, then you're barking up the wrong tree. Secondly, when it comes to Scotland, there's been some issues related to fracking, and I haven't been able to go into detail, but it seems that Dèlia was right all along, and that this moratorium fracking is about also some shenanigans to get people to keep trusting SNP. But as far as it seems, fracking has not been banned because anyways, the powers of Scotland to avoid fracking don't exist. But one basic way that they lie to us is keeping us in the dark of what really goes on. It's not through domination by weapons that they keep us subjugated. It's by deception, by infiltrating everything we love to make it work for the other side. So as I say, it seems that Dèlia was right, as with so many other things since square one. Another little Scottish approach from Catalonia is that again, this Amer Anwar has become a minor celebrity in Catalonia. Amer Anwar is one of the main actors in the false flag attacks in Barcelona last August, where he happened to be there to make a conference with Mole and wife of top Mole, Joan Vives and Soler Anarque also active in Bella Caledonia, in Scottish Independence Conference, and in Scotland in general. She is a top mole that got infiltrated in Catalonia around 2008. And Amer Anwar happened to be in Ramblas while the attack happened because he was having a conference in the Catalan Summer University introduced by none other than Anarque. So we know that Amer Anwar works for the dark side. And what other way to prove it that he has been in charge, or he's in charge of protecting no less than the top mole Clara Ponsatí, that was ushered in 1 year ago, and we mentioned in I think it was chapter week 5 in Radio Hadrian that we didn't trust her, we couldn't touch her with a barge pole, and she was here for a few months, and then she was part of the massacre of the 1st of October, where Catalan government and Spanish government working together massacred population in Franco's day. Nobody told us it was Franco's day, 1st of October, but it was a fake referendum once again, where only they wanted to massacre us. Independence was never in the books. And he's gonna be in this program they have invented, Frequently Asked Questions, which is a program in Catalan televisions where they brainwash people into feeling sorry for the traitors that didn't declare independence. One last thing I want to say about Scotland, and it's equivalent to what we've seen here. I've seen, and seeing it is okay, because to talk about things you need to see them. But there's this video of a guy dressed in British flag colors, which is talking about waiting for people in the demonstration of last week. We need to understand how these things work, because they did exactly the same thing in Catalonia this week. They do these things to mock us and keep us distracted from what we should be aware of. Scotland is not independent because Nicola Sturgeon ignored overall majority in Holyrood and 56 out of 59 in Westminster, and let a referendum be blatantly rigged, or was the main actress with Alex Salmond of rigging the Scottish referendum of 2014. That's the only thing that should be in the brain of any Scottish wanting person. And then the other side make these stupid videos, and it takes them 5 minutes to make this video of this guy. But pro-indie people have lost hundreds of thousands of hours because they have thousands of fake profiles or fake people in the pro-indie field, both in Catalonia and Scotland, in every truth movement, because this is about truth. It's the same. We need to unveil the truth about AIDS, the truth about 9/11, the truth about 11th of March in Madrid, the truth about psychiatry not being a science. All those truths are the same fight. This is the truth revolution. And to avoid us facing the truth that your own side has betrayed you, the dark side make these stupid videos, and we think that they're idiots, but it is us who are being played fools. We dedicate hundreds of thousands of times not to think that the SNP, Nicola Sturgeon, Alex Salmond, your own side, have betrayed you. And we waste our time insulting these types in these videos and passing it along and watching it several times, which is what our enemy wants. We've had the equivalent in Catalonia with several things this week. And with some woman, some girl, almost drunk or stoned, singing the Spanish anthem with the fascistic lyrics that were put in it in 1928. And we've had a tweet from a Spanish politician insulting the Catalans, and we've had lots of, and we've had Catalan guys putting yellow ribbons and Spanish guys getting the yellow ribbons out, and videos about that which don't bring anywhere. When you are watching these things, when you are passing along these things, you're doing what London with Madrid wants us to do. Switch off from television, switch off from social media, and switch on your brain. Activate your brain. We started with this sentence. The sentence we started about is Catalan musician Pau Casals. He was once nominated for the Nobel Prize He did this speech while Franco was still running Spain and Catalonia. And we started with him because he was in exile in Puerto Rico, real exile, not like this exile that they tell us today that it's not real exile. In Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico has done 5 referendums for independence in the last century. None of them served for anything. It has a lot of Catalan influences. The nationalist Puerto Rican party had the first president, José Coll. He was a Catalan. And in this program, we want to start talking about other countries that are not independent. But the most important thing is we also want to have a word for José Albizu, who was imprisoned and tortured with radiation, as it has been proven, and it has also been proven that the Puerto Rican independence movement was infiltrated to the top for the FBI. So that being clear, the mention of Puerto Rico is relevant as since 1952 has been a free state associated, or Estado Libre Asociado, a country that's relevant among other things for having the biggest electric telescope, which belongs to the Cornell University and is located in Arecibo, and technically is supposed to be there to communicate or to get news about extraterrestrial life, and I'll leave it at that. And this Puerto Rico that had some referendums in 2012 and 2017 is relevant not only on itself, and we wanted to mention this movement as we want to mention the Sunday Bloody Sunday that happened there in 1937, where 21 people were massacred in a peaceful demonstration in the second biggest city of Ponce in the south of Puerto Rico. Also, other contexts are that the pro-Indy flag in Catalonia is very similar to Puerto Rican and Cuban flag. So as you see, there's a lot of context. But the reason for doing this is because Artur Mas, former president of Catalonia and already exposed here as a traitor, and he's the one that anointed Carles Puigdemont, so from a traitor, only traitors can follow. He said in 2012 that he wanted Catalonia, who was already in an independence process, he wanted Catalonia to be like Scotland, Bayern, or Puerto Rico. Well, first of all, Scotland and Puerto Rico have not much in common. Puerto Rico is considered the most populated and oldest colony in the world. So the comparison between Scotland and Puerto Rico can only be done in bad faith or from total ignorance. But only 2 years later, the reason that got me started was this fake, tricky double question in the non-binding referendum of 2014, which mentioned the possibility of being a state but not an independent one. And as some other people have mentioned, it was a copy of the Puerto Rico very controversial question of 2012. So certainly this guy wanted us to go backwards, because the third thing, and it's the most definitive one, Puerto Rico, there's a program in Catalan television in 2017 named Puerto Rico, the Last Colony. And in that program, we learned that Puerto Ricans don't vote the American president, don't vote for Congress, and they consider themselves to be a colony, and they want to become a state. So here you have the paradox. Puerto Ricans want to be like Catalonia is already, but Mas, the traitor that was pardoned by Spain in 2001, the traitor that cut down our covenant in 2005 in our backs, the one that made a non-binding referendum that saved Spain in 2014, the one that in 2017 said, oh, it was symbolic, the declaration, everybody knows that. That traitor, one of the biggest traitors ever in Catalonia, wanted us to have less than we already have, which makes him the only so-called pro-independence leader that wants its country to have less sovereignty after changing things that have more. That's the level of treason we're having here. Because as we learned in that Catalan program in television, Puerto Ricans don't want to be like Puerto Rico is. So that's the level of treason and abuse of our ignorance. And that's how we can say that everything coming from him, his party PDeCAT, the parties that betrayed us with that question, Puerto Rican style, in 2014, Esquerra Republicana with Oriol Junqueras, Marta Rovira, which is supposed to be in exile, Coup, all that, all of them have used our ignorance. Not only with Puerto Rico, but also with Scotland. They're saying that we need to make a referendum Scottish style because they hide how you were betrayed by your own side with the referendum. That's the level of betrayal. And the third geographic betrayal is they told us that we're going to declare independence the Slovenian way. But in Slovenia, they brought down the flag of Yugoslavia. And they inscribed in the official law bulletin the Declaration of Independence, not like in Catalonia. And they stopped obeying Yugoslavian orders, not like Catalonia in October. And they brought back their sports people from Yugoslavian official teams, not like Catalonia. So that's 3 times our whole politicians, with connivance with our whole media, have betrayed us using our ignorance about what Puerto Rico is about, what the Scottish referendum was about, what the Slovenian declaration was about. It's like telling you, oh, don't worry, you'll never have a headache again. I found you a very nice solution called euthanasia. They're killing independence, abusing our ignorance. So with this time, people of the world, wake up, because we're 7,500 million, and it's only a bunch of psychopaths that's playing with us. Well, about this Quim Torra, that probably will be the stooge that Spain has selected to be president. That's not sure, and when this program comes this morning, the splinter party coup might have decided, because they have a committee. It's funny because they're supposed to be assembly, but now there's a reduced committee that might decide not to support this guy and bring us to new elections, that what Spain and Spanish malls have announced they want. So we'll see. Sometimes we have problems with timing. We'll see what goes on. But this Quim Torra, they're offering as candidate. He ran away from me in 2014 when in the street in front of where I lived, I told him that the whole process was a Truman Show, it was a lie, and he ran away. And I see now, not because he didn't believe it, but because he already knew, because he's part of the Truman Show, he's part of the traitors. Not only that, but as leader of that big museum in Born, if you've been in the city in Barcelona, that museum with the ruins 300 years ago, with a big flag in a pole, he was director of that. And first exposition he does was Donec Perficiam, of which I'll tell later, because a group of people that have committed state terrorism against me, they all going on about this Donec Perficiam sentence. He ran NGO called Soberanía y Justicia, Sovereignty and Justice. They for 2 times ignored the pleas of Gerard and me when I was being kidnapped and tortured. He also was president of Òmnium Cultural, and he was being member of the board of Assemblea Nacional Catalana. All these things, people already awake know that they form part of the biggest deception ever against Catalans. So somebody who's been running a museum and leader of these 3 organizations, it's somebody that works for Spain. Otherwise, he wouldn't have reached there. But not only that, he made a sad book about the murdered leader Muriel Casals. It's murdered for those of us who are already awake. The official version is she was run over by a bike and accidentally died. Well, he was in charge of covering her death with a sad book called Muriel Casals and the Smile Revolution. This thing about Smile Revolution and yellow ribbons and all that, let's stop, all that thing is Spanish run to keep us from realizing what goes on. And in that book, one of the worst books I've seen, I've already said it 11 months ago, I said, but this Quim Torra has written the worst book I've ever seen. And if we didn't live in a corrupt world, he couldn't be running a museum. Can you imagine what I feel about, how I feel about him maybe running Catalonia? Beggars belief. So he covered the murder with this sad book. But not only that, and last is, he made a book more than 2 years ago called The Last 100 Meters. It means the last 100 meters to independence. Well, they haven't done 100 meters in more than 2 years, so they really don't really want independence, isn't it? But the worst, and the thing that finally shows, we already should know, he's appointed by Puigdemont, who's a traitor appointed by the traitor Mas. From a traitor, only a traitor can be, like Puigdemont. We already debunked Puigdemont so many times in this program, we won't repeat. And that traitor is appointing another traitor, this Quim Torra. Quim Torra that happens to have blocked me in Facebook when I exposed him as a lousy writer and hiding the truth or the circumstances of the murder of Muriel Casals. They have this tendency to run away from me, these people that run this country. But in this book, he says that in 18 months, we should be independent because that was the mandate we had given them in 2015. So it takes some cheek to, more than 2 years after you've said that in 18 months you'll be independent, to accept the presidency of Catalonia. So here, and not only that, but he was member of a party that was destroyed. He was with the destroying ones. The party was called Reagrupament. And he is the brother-in-law in the number of 2 in that party, which is the one that betrayed number 1, Joan Carretero, to destroy the party. And he is the brother-in-law, so cannot be more obvious than this. They only abuse the fact that most of us still not awake, but we're waking up. This Quim Torra, I don't know if Spain has decided to put this Spanish stooge as president, or they're gonna force their other stooges, Cup, Joan Vives and Soler Vicens and Elisenda Palusia that runs ANC, to force new elections because that's the Spanish choice. But Torras or elections is the Spanish choice. We don't give a damn one or the other. We're building our own project to bring about independence. And the last thing I want to comment is one guy that helped Spain by destroying this party. We already said Quim Torra organized an exposition called Donec Perficiam. This Donec Perficiam was a sentence that the defenders of the city of Barcelona used. It means until we succeed. So technically it's very nice and very Catalan. But again, we've been mocked. It's Spanish running a little bunch of people that are destroying independence. We have Quim Torra having an exposition called Donec Perficiam. We have this guy that I know from 30 years ago who set up and breaks up this party. He has Donec Perficiam tattooed on himself. Then we have Marc Serra Parés that has slandered me and has collaborated in me being imprisoned and tortured. So he'll face court once we're independent. He is invented by Spain and he's very famous in social media because he's sponsored by Spain. He was caught renting apartments to tourists illegally without a license. The company he handed this illegal business with, the name is, sit down, Donec Perficiam. Then we have a former member of an armed band who has threatened me, and we have screenshots, him saying that I should better be dead, which comes from somebody that has been in prison for terror. Scares you? He signs his writings with, yes, you got it right, Donec Perficiam. But that's not all. The leader of a micro party that actually works for Spain but pretends to be for independence, and he slandered me. He sent to my friends fake diagnosis about me being mad, which was not true. He signs his writing and he keeps slandering me, saying me I'm a sex offender, saying I'm mad and attacking me all the ways he can. He signs his writing sometimes, yes, with Donec Perficiam. And to top it off, a guy called Jordi Riba Oliveras, he runs a fake pro-indie historic organization called Vibran. He has threatened me to death. He has intimidated me. He has been trying to disrupt my group. He has lied to me. He has wasted my time. He has insulted me for 4 years. This guy dresses himself as a defender of the city and he does historic recreations, but he works for Spain. And yes, sometimes he signs with Donec Perficiam. It's as nasty as this. These people use this code sentence to recognize one traitor to another. So they all know they're traitors, so they don't attack one another unless they have orders to do so. They all recognize another, and this includes the guy that they want to put president now. He forms part of this secret group of traitors called by one another using Donec Perficiam. We have shown how a former president wanted to murder independence using the Puerto Rican way. We have proven how the next president works for Spain, and it's a lousy example of a person. We have explained how they waste our time with stupid things, so we don't focus on the treason we suffer. and I have exposed the group Donec Perficiam. The truth is hard, but it's the truth. Only accepting the truth, only truth will set us free. Saur Alubba Gubrath, visca Catalunya lliure, estem guanyant i guanyarem. Som-hi!
This has been another update from the Catalan independentist resistance from Radio Hadrian. Remember that you can follow us on social media, either on Facebook, YouTube, our Twitter account, Instagram, Google, Telegram, and also on iVoox.